INFJs, the rarest of the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types, are often described as insightful, empathetic, and deeply intuitive. But beneath these qualities lies a complex web of challenges that can be baffling to others, and even to themselves at times. INFJs frequently wrestle with internal conflicts and problems that seem illogical or unnecessary to those who don't share this unique cognitive wiring. In this note, we'll delve into the problems that are characteristic of INFJs, exploring why they exist and how they shape the INFJ experience in a way that only those who live it can truly understand. As we explore the unique struggles that INFJs face, you might find yourself resonating deeply with these points if you are one. And if you're not, this can offer you valuable insight into the mind of an INFJ in your life. Let's take a closer look at what these challenges are and why they can often feel so mysterious to others. One of the core struggles that INFJs face is the ongoing battle between their idealism and the realities of the world. As highly idealistic individuals, INFJs possess a deep and unwavering belief in how things should be. Whether it's about relationships, society, or their own personal goals, they often have a vision of a better world, driven by justice, fairness, and compassion. They tend to hold themselves, and those around them, to these high standards, striving for perfection in everything they do. However, this idealism often clashes with the imperfections of reality, leading to disappointment and inner turmoil. The INFJ's idealism stems from their dominant cognitive function, introverted intuition, (NI). This function allows them to see possibilities and envision a future that is better than the present. Their minds naturally gravitate toward the big picture, connecting patterns and symbols to create an overarching vision of what the world could become. This function is paired with their auxiliary function, extroverted feeling, (FE), which makes them deeply attuned to the emotions and needs of others. Together, these functions create a powerful drive within the INFJ to improve the world, help others, and live a life that is aligned with their values. For INFJs, the world is not just a place to exist in, it is something that can be shaped and molded into a better version of itself. They often dream of a world where people are kinder, more understanding, and more compassionate. They imagine relationships built on trust and mutual respect, and they desire a life of meaning and purpose that contributes to the greater good. This idealism is not just a passing fancy for INFJs, it is central to who they are and how they navigate life. The harsh reality check. Despite their grand visions, INFJs frequently come face to face with the harsh realities of life. People are not always as compassionate or understanding as they hope. Relationships are messy, filled with misunderstandings, and often fall short of the deep emotional connections they seek. Society, too, can be frustrating, with injustices, inequality, and conflicts that seem insurmountable. INFJs often find themselves disappointed when the world doesn't align with their idealistic views, leading to feelings of disillusionment and frustration. This clash between idealism and reality is especially difficult because INFJs are perfectionists by nature. They hold themselves, and sometimes others, to impossibly high standards. When they fall short of these standards or when the world fails to meet their expectations, it can feel like a personal failure. INFJs may become discouraged or even cynical, wondering why things can't be the way they envision them. This disappointment can lead to a sense of hopelessness, as they struggle to reconcile their idealistic dreams with the imperfect world they live in. Coping with the discrepancy. Dealing with the constant clash between idealism and reality is a significant challenge for INFJs, but it's also an opportunity for growth. The key to managing this tension lies in accepting the world as it is while still holding on to their vision of what it could be. INFJs must learn to balance their idealism with a healthy dose of realism, understanding that perfection is unattainable and that progress often comes in small, incremental steps. One way INFJs can cope with this discrepancy is by focusing on what they can control. Rather than trying to change the world all at once, they can direct their energy toward making a positive impact in their immediate environment. This could be through small acts of kindness, meaningful conversations, or simply being a supportive presence for those around them. By shifting their focus from the grand, overarching problems of the world to the smaller, more manageable ones, INFJs can find a sense of purpose and fulfillment without feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of the challenges they face. Another coping mechanism for INFJs is learning to embrace imperfection, both in themselves and in others. This doesn't mean abandoning their ideals, but rather recognizing that people are flawed, relationships are complex, and the world is not always just or fair. By practicing compassion and forgiveness, INFJs can learn to let go of some of their perfectionistic tendencies and appreciate the beauty in imperfection. Striking a balance for INFJs, striking a balance between idealism and reality is an ongoing process. It requires them to remain true to their values and their vision for a better world while also accepting that change takes time and that some things are beyond their control. It involves recognizing that their idealism is a strength, it drives them to seek meaning, pursue justice, and connect deeply with others, but it also requires them to be patient with themselves and the world around them. Ultimately, INFJs must learn to walk the fine line between idealism and pragmatism. They can continue to dream of a better world and work toward making it a reality, but they must also learn to accept the imperfections that come with being human. By embracing both their idealistic nature and the realities of life, INFJs can find a sense of peace and purpose, knowing that even though the world may not always meet their expectations, they are doing their part to make it a better place. INFJs are known for their powerful empathy, which allows them to understand and feel the emotions of others deeply. While this can be a gift, it often turns into a burden. They can absorb emotions like sponges, feeling the pain, sadness, and joy of others as if it were their own. The problem arises when this empathy becomes overwhelming. INFJs can struggle to set emotional boundaries, leading to emotional exhaustion and even burnout. They may find it difficult to differentiate between their own emotions and the emotions of those around them, causing confusion and inner turmoil. INFJs are notorious overthinkers. They analyze everything, every conversation, every interaction, every decision, often to the point of paralysis. This relentless mental activity can be exhausting and leaves them prone to anxiety and self-doubt. They may second-guess themselves constantly, replaying scenarios in their heads and worrying about things that may never happen. This overthinking can be a significant barrier to their peace of mind, as they struggle to quiet the never-ending stream of thoughts. Living authentically is incredibly important to INFJs, but it's also one of their greatest challenges. INFJs often feel a strong internal pressure to be true to themselves and their values, yet they also have an innate desire to please others and avoid conflict. This can lead to a deep sense of guilt and frustration when they feel they're not living up to their own standards or when they compromise their authenticity to maintain harmony in their relationships. This conflict between staying true to themselves and adapting to the expectations of others is a constant struggle for INFJs. INFJs often feel like outsiders in a world that doesn't understand them. Their unique way of thinking, their depth of emotion, and their complex inner world can make them feel disconnected from others. They may feel as though they don't quite fit in, even in close relationships, and this can lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation. INFJs crave deep, meaningful connections, but these can be hard to find, leaving them feeling misunderstood and out of place in many social settings. Balancing introversion and extroversion. As introverts, INFJs require alone time to recharge, but they also possess extroverted qualities that make them seek meaningful connections with others. This duality can be confusing and difficult to manage. INFJs often find themselves torn between their need for solitude and their desire to connect with others, leading to feelings of guilt when they withdraw or exhaustion when they socialize too much. Finding the right balance between these two opposing needs is an ongoing challenge. High sensitivity to criticism. INFJs tend to take criticism very personally, even when it's constructive. Their deep-seated perfectionism makes them highly sensitive to any feedback that suggests they're not living up to their own expectations. This sensitivity can make it difficult for them to handle criticism in a healthy way, often leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. The fear of being judged or misunderstood can cause them to withdraw or become overly cautious, stifling their personal growth and creativity. One of the most emotionally taxing problems that INFJs face is the weight of others' expectations. Being naturally empathetic and deeply attuned to the emotions of those around them, INFJs often absorb and internalize the desires, needs, and expectations of others. This sensitivity, while it can be a gift that allows them to connect with people on a profound level, can also become an overwhelming burden that causes significant stress and emotional exhaustion. I.N.F.J.'s auxiliary cognitive function, extroverted feeling, FE, is largely responsible for their heightened awareness of others' emotions and expectations. This function makes them naturally inclined to prioritize harmony in their relationships and to take on the role of the peacemaker. They are highly skilled at reading people's emotional states, picking up on unspoken cues, and understanding what others need in any given moment. This ability can make them indispensable to friends, family, and colleagues, as they often seem to intuitively know how to offer support, advice, or a listening ear. However, this attunement to others can quickly turn into a double-edged sword. Because INFJs are so sensitive to the feelings and expectations of those around them, they may find it difficult to set boundaries or say no. They may feel compelled to meet the needs of others, even at the expense of their own well-being. Over time, this can lead to a pattern of people-pleasing, where INFJs prioritize others' happiness and comfort over their own, sacrificing their personal needs and desires to avoid disappointing or hurting others. The pressure to live up to others' expectations can take a serious toll on INFJs, both mentally and emotionally. They may feel an overwhelming sense of responsibility for other people's happiness, believing that it is their duty to keep the peace, solve problems, and ensure that everyone is content. This pressure can be especially intense in close relationships, where INFJs often feel an obligation to be the emotional anchor or caretaker for their loved ones. Over time, this sense of responsibility can become exhausting. INFJs may begin to feel resentful or trapped, as though they are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. The constant effort to meet others' expectations can lead to burnout, leaving INFJs feeling drained, unfulfilled, and disconnected from their own needs and desires. They may struggle with feelings of guilt when they are unable to meet these expectations, even when doing so is unreasonable or detrimental to their own well-being. INFJs value authenticity deeply. They want to live in a way that is true to their values, beliefs, and sense of self. This internal conflict can be particularly painful for INFJs, as they value depth and meaning in their relationships. They want to be authentic and genuine in their interactions, but the pressure to meet others' expectations can cause them to put on a mask, hiding their true selves in order to avoid conflict or disappointment. Over time, this can lead to feelings of disconnection and loneliness, as INFJs may feel that others do not truly know or understand them. One of the most important skills that INFJs can develop to cope with the burden of others' expectations is the ability to set healthy boundaries. However, by setting boundaries, they can create healthier, more authentic relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. Another key to managing the burden of others' expectations is cultivating self-compassion. INFJs are often their own harshest critics, holding themselves to impossibly high standards and feeling guilty when they fall short. Learning to be kinder to themselves, recognizing that they are human and that it is okay to have limits, can help INFJs release some of the pressure they place on themselves to meet everyone's expectations. Self-compassion also involves acknowledging that it is not their responsibility to make everyone happy. INFJs can remind themselves that they are not responsible for other people's emotions or reactions, and that it is okay to prioritize their own needs. By practicing self-compassion, INFJs can begin to let go of the guilt and anxiety that often accompanies the pressure to meet others' expectations, allowing them to live more authentically and with greater peace of mind. It is a delicate dance, but one that is essential for I.N.F.J's well-being. By finding this balance, INFJs can continue to be the empathetic, caring individuals they are, while also honoring their own needs and living in a way that is true to themselves. They need to feel that what they're doing aligns with their values and makes a positive impact on the world. INFJs often set impossibly high standards for themselves, leading to a constant cycle of perfectionism and self-criticism. They may feel that nothing they do is ever good enough, which can prevent them from taking risks or pursuing their goals. While INFJs crave deep, authentic connections, they also have a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. They may hesitate to open up fully to others, fearing rejection or misunderstanding. This can create a paradox where they long for intimacy but keep others at arm's length to protect themselves from emotional pain. This fear of vulnerability can prevent them from forming the meaningful relationships they desire, leaving them feeling isolated and disconnected. It's a problem that makes no sense to those who don't live within the same mental framework. It allows them to perceive patterns, make connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, and foresee possibilities. Their auxiliary function, extroverted feeling, FE, makes them emotionally attuned to the needs of others and drives them to maintain harmony and connection in their relationships. However, beneath this emotionally driven nature lies their tertiary function, introverted thinking, T, which seeks clarity, precision, and logical consistency. T compels INFJs to analyze information, break down ideas, and understand the inner workings of the world around them. This cognitive dissonance is a source of inner conflict for INFJs. Conversely, they may feel strongly drawn to a particular course of action but struggle to justify it rationally. The emotional weight of decisions. One of the ways this conflict manifests most strongly is in decision-making. INFJs can spend an inordinate amount of time deliberating over decisions, weighing the pros and cons, and analyzing every possible outcome. On the one hand, they rely on their intuition to guide them toward the right decision, but on the other hand, their logical mind steps in, demanding a rational explanation for their choice. This internal tug-of-war can lead to decision paralysis, where INFJs feel stuck and unable to move forward. They may feel overwhelmed by their own emotions or the emotions of others, making it difficult for them to think clearly or make rational decisions. In moments of emotional intensity, their logical mind may take a back seat, leaving them feeling swept up in a storm of feelings that they cannot fully control. They may feel frustrated by their inability to reconcile their logical and emotional sides, leading to feelings of inner turmoil. For example, an INFJ might be in a situation where they feel intense empathy for someone who has wronged them. Emotionally, they may want to forgive the person and move on, but logically, they may know that this individual is toxic and that maintaining the relationship would be harmful to their well-being. The quest for balance. INFJs are constantly seeking balance between their logical and emotional sides. The key to finding this balance lies in understanding that logic and emotion are not inherently opposed to one another. Instead of viewing them as conflicting forces, INFJs can learn to integrate both perspectives into their decision-making process. One way to achieve this balance is by allowing both logic and emotion to have a voice in their internal dialogue. INFJs can take time to analyze situations logically, considering the facts and possible outcomes, while also honoring their emotional responses and intuition. By giving both logic and emotion equal weight, they can arrive at decisions that feel both rational and aligned with their values. Another important aspect of finding balance is learning to trust their intuition. I.N.F.J's intuition is often a powerful guiding force that helps them see the bigger picture and navigate complex situations. The role of reflection is another key tool for INFJs in navigating the conflict between logic and emotion. Taking time to reflect on their thoughts and feelings can help them gain clarity and perspective, allowing them to better understand the underlying causes of their internal conflict. Through reflection, INFJs can identify patterns in their thinking and emotions, uncover unconscious biases, and gain insight into how their cognitive functions are influencing their perceptions. Journaling is a particularly effective form of reflection for INFJs. By writing down their thoughts and feelings, they can externalize their internal dialogue and gain a clearer understanding of their inner world. This process can help them untangle the web of conflicting thoughts and emotions, making it easier to find a path forward that feels both logical and emotionally satisfying. Meditation and mindfulness practices can also be valuable tools for INFJs, helping them cultivate greater awareness of their thoughts and emotions. By practicing mindfulness, INFJs can learn to observe their internal conflict without becoming overwhelmed by it. This can create space for them to process their emotions and thoughts more calmly and thoughtfully, allowing them to make decisions from a place of clarity and balance. Ultimately, the conflict between logic and emotion is a fundamental part of the INFJ experience. While it can be a source of frustration and inner turmoil, it is also a reflection of the INFJ's depth and complexity. Rather than trying to eliminate this conflict, INFJs can learn to embrace both their logical and emotional sides, recognizing that both are essential to their growth and self-understanding. By embracing this internal conflict, INFJs can cultivate greater self-compassion and self-acceptance. This process may not always be easy, but it is a crucial step in the INFJ's journey toward self-actualization and inner harmony. In the end, the conflict between logic and emotion is not a problem to be solved, but a dynamic to be managed. It is part of what makes INFJs who they are, deeply thoughtful, emotionally intelligent individuals who strive to live in alignment with their values. INFJs often feel a deep sense of responsibility for the world around them. They are highly aware of the suffering and injustice in the world, and this can weigh heavily on their hearts. They may feel overwhelmed by the enormity of the problems they see and frustrated by their inability to make a significant difference. This can lead to feelings of helplessness and despair, as they grapple with the knowledge that they can't save the world, no matter how much they may want to. Being an INFJ comes with its own set of unique challenges that can often feel bewildering to those who don't share this rare personality type. From the struggle to balance idealism with reality, to the deep desire for connection paired with a fear of vulnerability, the problems INFJs face are as complex and multifaceted as they are. If you resonated with any of these challenges, know that you're not alone. The INFJ journey is one of deep introspection and growth, and while the struggles may be difficult, they also offer opportunities for profound personal development. Let me know in the comments if you're an INFJ or if you know one. What problems do you relate to most? And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Psych IQ for more insights into the fascinating world of personality and psychology. See you in the next video.